Welcome back to From the Bunker. I'm your host, Burke or Slim Reaper, and I'm here today with Kenny from the Beyond the Barrel podcast. Kenny, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what you do?
My name's Kenny. Born and raised in Indiana. I got in law enforcement in 2007 after September 11th. Backstory to that is freshman in college, going to school to be a teacher. Some of my family members had some, adverse addiction problems with narcotics, and I thought if I could be a teacher and kind of lay that foundation for some of the youth and say like, okay, like you have family members that had addiction problems, you didn't go down that avenue. So ultimately, like that was kind of my goal. And then September 11th happened, and I don't know, I was listening to Mancow. I just remember it so vividly. And I go to school, and Mancow was always made jokes, so I thought he was like bullshitting, like not being serious, because that's what kind of his gig was. I go to school and like everyone just staring at the TVs. It was like one of the most somber moments. So I leave school. I was living with my grandparents at the time. I go home and I basically tell them like, hey, I'm gonna go join the military, and I use the caveat that I'm gonna join the military so because I can't pay for school. And they're like, how about we'll pay for school, just don't join the military. And I love my grandparents, so I was like, all right, fair enough. I was like, but I'm gonna be a cop. And they're like, I guess okay, like at that point.
Well, at the time, it was like okay.
Yeah. So went down there, criminal justice. Started applying at police departments, and when I was 20 years old, decided to drink way too much and hit a tree when I was 22. That kind of prevented me from getting a job as early as I could have. My own self, destruction, I guess. So it took me about till I was 25. I finally got hired. Applying at like 50 different departments. And back then it was crazy because you go to a hiring process, there'd be like 3,000 people and they'd be hiring 3 people. And it was insane the amount of people that wanted to be in law enforcement. So it was very challenging, and I was very grateful for that opportunity. So I've stayed with the same agency. When I go through the police academy, ultimately my goal is to just find narcotics and prevent, some child from having parents or family members that had addiction problems. But I go to the police academy, and there's this 3-hour block out of my entire academy that's called criminal interdiction. I had no idea what it was, but I saw these dudes like throwing kilos on cars and stuff, and I was like, well, if I could find 1,000 kilos or 1,000 grams at one time compared to one, like this might be an avenue that I want to go down. But I go back to my agency. We don't have an interdiction team. I started to hear grumblings about like the state police have a part-time interdiction team, and I basically just bugged the right people long enough to give me an opportunity. So in 2012, I started doing that, and then 2016, 2017, somewhere around there, my agency created an interdiction team. I've been on that ever since. I'm on my second dog, and just highway interdiction.
Oh, so you went straight K9?
I didn't get a K9 until 3 years into interdiction. So I started interdiction in 2012. 2015, I got my first dog.
Okay. So what do you think? Like the biggest? Me being a Michigan boy, I know like urban problems, and the cocaine's making a big comeback because everyone loves the 80s now apparently, and neon, and all the tracksuits are coming back.
Yeah.
And then you got crystal meth on the west side of the state. Like, what's your problem down there?
I mean, for whatever reason, meth has taken a real long time to get, like a stronghold. Like crack cocaine, by me, still pretty much king, which is ironic for most of the country. But the opiates like fentanyl and heroin, that's been ravishing this area ever since I've been a cop. Like when I first started, my first ever death investigation was a guy that I went to high school with. That was a good dude that overdosed. That was my first death investigation.
And he did. Sorry. So you still have a fentanyl problem in Indiana?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, an opiate problem,
wild, man. Yeah. So now it's so weird because we're not far from each other, bro. It's like I'm like a 2.5 hour drive from you tops, and like the difference is wild. Up here, it's like you see fentanyl. It's like they use it as a mixer, for everything. But you won't find fent just like sitting around. Like you'll find like maybe heroin, a little bit of fent in it, but like.
You guys hit the fake pills, the fake fentanyl pills?
Oh yeah. We'll find presses. Okay. They press them all the time. Oh yeah, that's a big thing. But normally it's mixed with something. They cut it up real bad. But yeah, no, we're a huge meth state. Up until what 2017, 2018, before the cartel really moved in here. It was like we were the one pot state, like everyone cooked their own meth.
Yeah.
Good old days, like in the vans and shit, like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And then
So that was how it was here for a long time
yeah,
too. At one time we had like we were like, I mean, Indiana's not known for much, but we were definitely like the meth capital, like the most mobile meth labs or whatever. We had like a good like 2 year run where we were like the top in the country.
that was wild. Like, oh, I hated those investigations, man. Like doing those labs. Like, I don't. Did you ever take part in the labs? Like, we had to
So
you had to get suited up and go in there, and like, there's a whole big thing.
So no, because the state police handles it all, thank God. But
Okay,
like we would stumble upon them, and those. I mean, it was just disgusting. Like I just
oh
still
yeah,
cannot fathom like how people use it. Like if you
yeah.
watch
Like
the baking process, like how, just how.
two naked people in a van made this, and now you're storing it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your enterprises here. I was telling you a little earlier. I went through everything, and you have a lot. And I noticed here too. I'm assuming you probably see them as business partners, Heather in Brazil.
Yeah. So yeah, Heather teaches with us. Mike and myself started the business. He is a veteran. He's done 2 years, two tours. Let me rephrase that. Two tours. I think he did like dignitary protection or some shit like that in the military. I could be wrong, but so don't quote me. But I know he did two tours. He's also in law enforcement. He teaches a case law class because he's an attorney. So he's a cop and he's an active cop, and he's passed the bar and he's a practicing attorney. And then
He's
Heather,
military police, correct?
yeah, yeah, yep, yep. And then Heather is a cop in New Jersey. She teaches a leadership class. She's a lieutenant at an agency out there in Newark. And then she also teaches like an empower women class, but it's not, the title's misleading because it's more like what's expected of women, which is the same as men, but also kind of it goes down some, trials and tribulations that she's had in law
It's a different
enforcement.
world.
Yeah. So, it says empowering women or something, but like a lot of people get that misconfused. They're confused. It's a very informative class. It's very like I've taken it. It's not like the rah rah like women go women and f the
It's like,
man
hey
type
man,
thing.
these are the hardships. This is
Yeah,
what you're gonna go through. Yeah,
one hundred
like
percent.
we try to do the same thing. And I mean, we just had Riley Tejik on. Yeah, she'll be on before this comes out, so I'm not rooting anything. But so we just had Riley Tejik Tejik on, and she's a Marine Corps captain that also is on the USA bobsled team and wrote a book and stuff like that. So like we had her on here, and oh my god, it's gonna be great. It's actually coming out tonight. So when you're done with this, go watch
Yeah, for sure.
that.
I'll check it out.
But yeah, no, she was super cool, super motivated about everything. But no, she's the same way. She's like, hey man, like, yeah, there's hardships, and yeah, we're gonna go through them, and yeah, it's different. Fuck it. This is my life. This is my career. This is what I want to do. Nobody's gonna stop me from doing it. Like she was great. I just listened to it twice because had to, but
No, yeah,
didn't
that's very
didn't get to
similar.
do that one.
That's very similar to the once you take that oath into law enforcement. There's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of parallels in the military and law enforcement, and there's a lot of things that are different. But when it comes to like, I'm sure like the military is probably like 90% men, like law enforcement is, and putting a woman into those dynamics, it's probably more challenging. Being in a male dominant and just kind of how to cope and navigate the
Oh
way
yeah.
through it, like the
Well, I
politic, I guess,
personally have
aspect of
never.
it.
Yeah, I personally never seen a woman in real life, so I couldn't imagine that. That's wild. But no, the um yeah, it's a different job. But I talk to the guys I work with every day, and we're kind of on the same page when it comes to things. Like most of them have been cops about the same amount of time that I've been in the military, or some longer, but around the same age. And I used to be a DEA contractor, which I don't think I told you that, but I was a DEA contractor in intelligence on the border in Nogales, and
Oh,
that
that's
was a
awesome.
huge, like, you'd have loved that one. That was all interdiction. That was like, you know, school buses full of meth and like fentanyl powder that they dissolved in gasoline tanks, like thousands of pounds. It was crazy, but I did that for about a year, and I would say that like street cops are, when I say harder, I mean cooler. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're more hard than like those DEA cats on the border, and like those guys are like, they're in suits. They're very hands off. They're like, hey, let's do all this investigations. People like me would do all the footwork, and then they'd call like the street cops and be like, all right, we need you to do this, and then you'd go do it. So like you had like the pipe hitters that are like the street cops, and then you had like the feds that were like us. So we kind of made the plan, but then like the real bad boys went and did it, and I always thought that was funny. I was like, why did I join this agency? What are we doing here?
How did you get? Just your military experience? Is that how you got hooked up with that?
Yeah, so I was working counter drug for the state of Michigan before that, in Michigan National Guard. So I was an enlisted guy. I was like an E5 or something at the time, a sergeant at the time. And I got back from Iraq, and my first platoon leader I ever had in an infantry company, he called me. He's like, "Hey, just heard you got home. Do you want a job?" And I was like, "Sure. What is it?" He's like, "Can't tell you." I was like, "All right." So I took an interview, and it was like a board. I got this job at a counter drug, and I did that for a couple years, and then my partner at the time wanted to move down south, and we were like, so we were kind of exploring like avenues on how to do that, like how are we going to move down south. And then they just bailed and kind of went down there. Didn't end up working out, but whatever. And I ended up getting a job, and there was this weird like posting on USA Jobs that you needed a secret security clearance, DoD secret for. So I applied for it, and I got a call. I was like, "Hey, we'd like to interview you about your narcotics intelligence stuff." And I was like, "Sure." So I did the interview, and it was a very like pointed interview. Like it wasn't like a "What'd you do in high school?" or "What'd you do for your last job?" It was like, this guy sells kilos out of his apartment. You have any asset you want. How do you find out if he's doing it? So like you'd have to like build this scenario for them, like based off of the information they gave you, and you'd have to have questions. And then if you like answer the questions, they'd have like, "Oh, but then this happens," and you'd have to like, go against it. So I didn't even know who I was interviewing for. And then they called me after I did the interview like a week later, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, by the way, we're contracted through the DEA, so you can have the job if you want. It's yours, but you got to move here in the next 10 days." Like, okay, so I packed all my shit up, went out to Arizona, and I will say that was a wild experience, man.
Cool though. I mean,
Yeah, it was cool. It was definitely a life change, and yeah, that place was violent, dude. Like Nogales isn't that bad, but all the surrounding places on the border is terrible. And my agency was like the west side of Texas, all the way to Yuma, all the way up
okay.
to like Phoenix. So it was a very large portion of the desert out there. But yeah, it was crazy. And Sinaloa cartel owned all of that, and they were just those dudes are nuts.
Yeah.
Respectable sometimes, but nuts.
Yeah. I mean, their intelligence and the things that they come up with to beat law enforcement is
Oh yeah.
impressive. Like it's impressive as much as they're not. I don't know. They're not admirable, but it's impressive their
No,
intelligence
like
and the things that they come up with.
I will never forget one of the only things I liked about Iraq was my platoon sergeant. This is back in like 2015. ISIS was like brand new, right? They just steamrolled Iraq after the pullout of like 2012. And so we're fighting ISIS, trying to push them back out. And we were like, fuck ISIS, blah, blah, blah. We were like, making pork jokes because they can't eat pork and stuff like that. And like, we were just dumb kids. I was like
Yep.
21 probably. And my platoon sergeant caught us one time. We were writing "fuck ISIS" on these rockets that were shooting into these ISIS trenches, and he like lit us up on the spot. Was like, "You're not gonna fucking do that." He's like, "They've killed us. They have fought us. Like they pushed this entire country to its knees in 2 weeks. Like they use our tactics to defeat the Iraqi military that we train. Like they have fought Americans for the last 10 years." He's like, "You're gonna show them respect, or they're gonna kill you." And I said I thought the same thing about the cartel when I went down there, and I kind of kept that in the back of my mind. I used to interview cartel. Sometimes they were trigger pullers, but most of the time it was just mules, coyotes, stuff like that. But I was like, I show them that respect because like not only are they just a human being that that's maybe all they know, but yeah, they've been doing it for their whole life and they know way more about it than I ever will. And if you don't respect them, they're gonna fuck you up.
Yep. No, I think that goes with law enforcement in general. Like
Oh yeah,
just having that understanding that like I guess empathy with people and not necessarily like you agree with them, just understand where they're coming from
oh
and
yeah,
when in dealing with like mules, like they're hauling like narcotics. It's either like you can you look at their livelihood, you could do this and you can struggle your whole life, or maybe you can get involved in this and it's not that it's morally wrong and it's legally wrong, but like your morals are kind of messed up, so you're like, well, I can make so much more money doing this. So that's how I always look at it. And sometimes they're preyed upon because they who knows what, but the cartels get a hold of them because they're vulnerable for whatever reason, know that they need money. Maybe, mom has cancer and they know that mom, and they prey on those vulnerabilities. So like as an organization, they suck. But the people that, I guess I'm coming in contact, the mules, like it's either I can live in squalor my whole life and I don't know another way out, or and I can do this, or my mom's dying and I have no other option. And either way, it's like I don't look at you any differently. I just have a job to do, and it is what it is. Like, and I don't know. I don't pass a lot of judgment on people because just seeing the stuff that I've seen as a cop over the years, it's hard because you see guys and girls that are, just stuck in bad situations that make decisions that I don't know if I would hope based on my profession that I wouldn't, but you know what I mean? Like if I was 16, 17, 18 years old and my mom's dying and we have no money and I know if I can go do this and I can make her money to, get her the medical attention that she needs, like who am I to judge you to make that decision at that age?
Oh, dude, like when it comes to family, my family, fiance, and like the people I care about, I would burn the world down. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah, I
when
get
it
it.
comes to that, and down there, it's a completely different way of life, and city by city is completely different. Parts of Detroit, parts of the place where I live, like they're all, they have their own organizations that may not be what you call organized crime, but they've been around for so long that they might as well be. And Sinaloa has been around for so long that they grow up just like the kids in Afghanistan grew up the U.S. military there. They don't know anything else, and they're like, oh, well, the cartel is probably a pretty good bet because they've been around since the '70s and the '60s, and they're still here and they run most of the organizations around the city. So no, it's a job down there to them, and so I never made it more than that for me. And I'm sure you do the same thing. It's a job. Be good at it and do what you have to do. But at the end of the day, it's not like you're gonna hold resentment against
No,
someone for
yeah.
doing their job. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's hard to explain to people.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a lot of times. Like, I mean, as weird as it sounds, flip scenarios. Like, who knows if they wouldn't be cops here, given the opportunities that I had, or
Yeah,
whatever. So it's. I don't know. I think your economic status and your social upbringing has a lot to do with where you end up in life.
yeah. And it's just hard to explain to people because like I'm sure like your family or friends are like, well, don't you like hate those people? Like, no, man, no, I
No,
don't.
the only
Well, they
thing that
shoot
I
at
get.
you. Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean
so.
that yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess if I was a cop and I was getting shot at, it'd be a little bit different. I might hold a little animosity
It's
in
just
those
part of the
situations.
job. Like, really?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
get.
I'm not trying to make it sound stupid, but like,
No, I
it's
get it.
part of the job,
Yeah,
man. It just is.
yeah. There's only like a couple crimes that I look at and that I can't rationalize in my head. Like I can see
Yeah.
why and it's usually if you hurt women and kids, like I those are the two that I'm just like I don't know. I can't understand it. I can't empathize with it.
CSCs, no remorse.
Yeah,
That's
like
it.
I like every other crime, pretty much. I can be like, oh, okay, like I get it. Like you went and you stole something because you needed it, or like frauds or thefts or running drugs or running gun, like all that. Like I can understand where your mind is, but when you're hurting women and kids, I
Yeah,
don't
no
have
way.
much understanding for that.
I'll agree with that one. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right. So you have your own podcast,
Yep.
and I was kind of up in the air. I was like, I kind of want to ask him just to have me on his podcast, but that's,
We'll
yep,
do it.
that sounds,
Yeah, no, we'll do it. We'll
I
do it
was
for
like, that
sure.
sounds weird. But I was like, oh, so I was bringing up my mind. So you have the Beyond the Barrel podcast. So tell me a little bit about your podcast, kind of like what you focus on. Obviously, what we focus on veterans and transitions and veteran outreach and suicide prevention. But really, like, we want to make sure that our community is as strong and like together as it can be. Because I don't know if you've ever seen or heard about what happens at a VFW between like the Korean and Vietnam veterans when like the GWAT guys roll in and they're like,
Is
it's
there a
kind
lot
of
of
some
animosity?
it's not animosity, it's just friction. But they had
Interesting.
their thing too, right? They went to the VFW, in the '80s or late '70s, and the World War II vets were sitting there, and they were like, "Look at these idiots!
Yeah,
Like
no, I could say
they didn't invade France." So
no,
now
I
it's
get.
just their turn. So yeah, so now that's our goal as Bunker Bros is to kind of like bring these communities together, kind of update these like VFWs, these programs, these this way of thinking, and to have everyone just kind of on the same page. So kind of what's your overarching goal for your Beyond the Barrel podcast?
So with Beyond the Barrel, we try to bring in first responders, military vets, active military, whatever it is, and Beyond the Barrel, it's kind of double pun. It's like Beyond the Barrel of the gun, and also like when you're sitting around drinking around the bourbon barrel. That I was a bartender before I was a cop, so like I kind of merged them both together. And I feel like beyond the badge is too cliche. So I was like beyond the barrel of the gun,
Definitely.
beyond around the bourbon barrel, sitting there drinking, and mainly like our goal is to let everyone know like just because you wear a uniform that doesn't define who you are. And I like to hear the stories of you growing up, how you got into whatever field you got into as a first responder in the military, and then like what you did to kind of stay sane, if that makes sense. Like, what do you do outside of work? I don't
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course, as when you sit around with a bunch of cops, like it goes down cop talk occasionally, but I try to like always bring it back to like, well, let's talk about like what you did here and how you grew up and what foundation you laid that, gave you the success that you have in whatever first responder field or in the military that you had. And then, when you're having, I guess, struggles at work, like what keeps your mind off of it? For me, it's sports. Like I'm a big sport guy. So especially coming up here now into the fall where like football's coming and I
Oh,
play
yeah.
fantasy football and stuff like so like Saturdays and Sundays like it's my time to go sit down and watch Notre Dame or watch the Bears and just kind of veg out where I'm not really thinking about like you know some of the stuff that goes on even not necessarily like the violent type stuff or the stuff that you see as a copper in the military but more like even the politic aspect of it. Like I just get 3 hours to clear my mind and focus on sports and just have a good time.
You gotta have that focus. I 100% agree. Like, it's hard to, especially new vets. Like, that's your, first deployment, your first road patrol where you see a terrible traffic accident or something like that, and you come home and you're trying to disassociate. And like, I get it, people disassociate, but you got to focus on something. Like, you can't just sit there and just drown out everything because then you're just going to turn over those people who you don't have good relationships, you don't have good, talks with family anymore, you don't connect with
Start
your kids
drinking way too
anymore.
much.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just part of those things, but you can't just not focus on something. But yeah,
Yeah.
100% agree with that. Do you have like a forward goal for the podcast, or just kind of is it more of a help the business, help the community type thing, kind of like us?
Yeah, I mean, for both. I mean, I love doing the podcast, and I don't know how the military is, but typically, if you get a cop and you get a 10-minute conversation out of a cop, even one on one, like run into them at like a conference or training, you get maybe 10 minutes with them. So on the selfish aspect of it, like now I get to, if you say you come on a podcast, I get you for at least an hour. So I'm like happy that like you get to have. I don't know. You get to have more of a personal relationship and conversation, and also shows people that we are just humans. We just have a specific job that some people don't like. But yeah, I mean, as future as future goals, like I I will. I mean, I would love to have more in studio guests. We've done a couple roundtables where we kind of just sit here and talk. The one thing that like I'm not a huge fan of, I understand like there's an education aspect of it, but like Monday morning, like quarterbacking cop type stuff, like I don't like to do that because we're not seeing the full aspect of it, like the full totality of everything. Me and my buddy, that's a cop in Indiana, but a few hours away from me. We started this thing and it's called the Beyond Heroic Award. And basically, once a month we go live and I find like 3 or 4 videos and I just play them for him without preparation. And then like, what did he do right? Like, and we go down the positive avenue of it, of, the education aspect of it. We try to avoid a lot of the negativity because there's a lot out there and it's easy to pile on when someone does something
Oh yeah,
wrong, but it's harder to find the videos of good police doing good things. So we
that's
we
because no
started
one's
doing
subpoenaed
that.
them. You don't FOIA a video of a cop doing something good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like we've been trying to focus, and it doesn't have to be like a shoot or no shoot situation. It could be like a great communication aspect of it, like where you were able to communicate effectively and talk someone off the ledge of committing suicide. Like that's great police work too. Like so it covers the whole gamut of good police work, not just he took control and in a bad guy situation and I guess in an OIS or something along those lines.
All right, I gotta ask something because you
Hmm.
just made me think of it, and it went around my office for like 2 weeks of us going like, "What the fuck?" The Acorn shooting. Do you know
That's
what I'm
that's
talking
a
about?
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah,
Um,
like
I'll give you.
I'm. I
Yeah,
I try to bring in the. I try to bring the background. I try to, but then I'm like,
yeah. So this is why I don't like. But I'll give you a little bit of my perspective here. With the amount of negativity that's out there, we see it worst case scenarios a lot of times as cops. Like you know what I'm saying. Like so, even if like going through the police academy, they don't train you in the aspect of like these are all the bad things could happen, but like 95% of the time, this is what's going to happen. So now if I'm fresh out of the academy, and I don't know how long that dude had on the job or whatever, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, like that one time there was a guy that was in handcuffs and he was able to shoot out in the scenario. Like, so, I don't know how an acorn would sound like a bullet, but like that's probably in the back of his mind. I'm guessing. Um, I also feel that we see a lot of people that give a misrepresentation of what law enforcement is with like dancing cops in uniform and those types of things. So now if I look at that and I'm like, oh, I want to be a cop because when I get out of, training, then I can just dance in uniform and that's what my job entails. And I feel like that gives you a complete false uh, perception of what the job is, and then what happens is you get in a situation that is either like where you're seeing dead bodies, or you're assuming that you're being shot at, and now all of a sudden you can't cope with that mentally, and you can't like think fast enough to think like, no, that there's no way that's possible. I just start shooting. I don't know. It's a rough one to watch for me, even. But
No, it
yeah,
is.
like
I watched it quite a few times.
I still like, yeah, I didn't realize it was an acorn because like someone sent me the video, I just watched it, I didn't pay attention to like what was said, and
Exactly.
I'm like, what the hell is going on? But
Yeah.
yeah, like that's a rough one. I mean, it's hard for me to even defend the officer, but I'm also not gonna throw him under the bus. Like, I mean, there's
No,
probably
like
many other
that's what
things
I'm
in play.
saying. It's yeah, that's what because he was I don't know if he's an army vet, but he was a vet,
Oh, was he?
and like oh yeah, like he had a when he did his weird little combat role, you saw his KA bracelet memorial.
I
So
did see
everyone
that.
was like, yeah, so everyone's like, oh, is that dude a vet? And it turns out he is. Like I don't remember who he was with, but yeah, he was a vet, and I knew he was like relatively new on the force because he got off active duty and then went to work for the police. So like he had only I think a couple of years. Like I can't remember for sure, but yeah, I just that is a wild one because it's a great example of like, sometimes you roll up on a scene that's like a domestic dispute and it's getting kind of violent and then they're just like, "All right, I'm done," and you can just put them in a car and it's done.
Yeah.
But you never know because they were
Right. Yeah.
fired up
Yeah.
when you got there and you
Yep.
never know which way it's going to go. But I get where he thought something might have happened and then I'd watch it like 15 times and I was like, "God, man,
Yeah. I mean,
I wasn't there, but good on the partner, that female cop. Good on her, because she like pulled her gun and like shot once, and then was like, "Hold up, what's going
That's
on here?"
that's what I'm saying. Like that critical thinking aspect that like
Yeah,
for some reason like just wasn't there in that situation for him for some reason. Where like anyone else that shows up, like, wait, like how he's handcuffed in your back seat?
yeah,
I mean, I guess it's anything is
it's possible.
possible. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not, but it's just like I don't know how. Like I don't know if he's shooting at you. I would assume that you would hear glass break or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was
So
none of
I
that.
we had a weird one. We had a weird one. Like I don't know if I'm supposed to tell the story. If I get in trouble, I'll just cut it out. Fuck it. So there was a law enforcement officer with a agency here that had someone known to be a shooter. Like if he got into an altercation with the cops, he always had a gun. Like, there's number one, right? You're rolling up, you're like, I know who this guy is, smaller town. I know who this dude is. He's always got a gun. He hates the cops. It's like his fifth felony. Like, it's always that possibility, right? So they book him, no problem, put him in the car, get to the jail, put him in the jail. Car goes home for the night. 2 shifts later, they found a gun in the car. And
Wow.
they're like, how'd the gun get in the car? And they just didn't search him well enough. He had it hidden in his pants somewhere. The cops didn't find it when they booked him. Brought him to jail. He dumped it in the car before he got into the jail, so he didn't get hit with it in the jail because the jail strips you.
Yeah.
So like when he got yeah, so they hit him with a felony firearms. But like you just never know, man. Like maybe you had a guy that was tired from his 12th hour on a night shift, right? And he just
Yeah. No.
didn't
Yeah.
do that last fucking search. But you never know. But good on that female cop in that situation to be like, all right, hold the fuck up. I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna take a second. Hey man, are you okay? And he's like, no, I'm shot. Turns out he wasn't. Thank God. And
Yeah.
then she
And
kind of
that was another craziest thing. Like I don't like
yeah, I don't know
how like
that part. Yeah,
that I can't even like fathom. Like your mind's playing that many tricks on you that you like I don't know. It's crazy to me.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I just had to because my office was like for like 2 weeks. What are we doing here? What are we looking at? But then
Yeah.
it came out the whole like it was like a week later, like 5 days later, that they were like, oh yeah, it's an acorn.
And I don't know how they even determine that.
They had to watch the body cam over and over and over, and they heard it. and they just kept trying to find out what it was, and then they see the acorn on it. Like it's like in our screen, it's like right there. Like it falls and hits like
Oh
the
man.
top of the car, and he like does a combat roll.
Yeah, he was I guess he had some good agility, like that's for sure.
Yeah, I think he hurt himself. I think this is where he thought he shot. Like I think I have no idea, but I think when he did the roll, he like got a little hurt, and he was like, "Oh, I'm shot. I'm hurt. Like it hurts."
Wow. Yeah, that's a rough one. That's what I said. I mean, there's some that I you just can't. I don't know. I can't understand.
So I was going through your website, Justice Academy, and you offer classes. You want to tell us about some of those classes? I'm a huge fan of interdiction. The DEA did it a ton, and I know our state does it a lot. But for people who don't know, could you kind of delve in that a little bit?
Yeah. So interdiction basically is like I'm a sports guy, like I talked about, and it's like basically interception. I'm the defensive back. The quarterback is throwing narcotics from one point, and the receiver, eventually is trying to catch that and get it to a different point. And my goal or my job is to intercept it on while it's en route. A lot of that's like the human behavior aspect of it, and then communication and having a conversation. And I think being able to communicate effectively and not being a very authoritative, demanding type cop and understanding and being an active listener is goes a long way when it comes to interdiction. You're trying to build a rapport pretty quick. You're governed by your traffic code and by law. So not only do they have to kind of have a reaction to your presence, they have to commit an infraction. And then by law, you can't extend that traffic stop for 1 second unless you have some reasonable suspicion. And so your time restriction is to be focused on the traffic enforcement. And so the best way for me is to simultaneously engage you in a conversation while I'm writing you a ticket or writing you a warning and trying to figure out if you're being deceptive, if you're telling me the truth.
So I'm a little curious because and by we I mean the state of Michigan, kind of it does it a little differently. We have some interdiction teams, but they're kind of independent, and obviously the federal agencies kind of do their own thing with their interdiction teams. And interdiction to the DEA means mostly dirty doctors and pills and stuff like that. But so what would be the difference between like you initiating a traffic stop or doing some type of interdiction investigation and like a beat cop, like a highway patrol guy doing a traffic stop? Is he not trying to get into that car? Is that not the end goal for him?
I guess it's all what the cop's motivation is, but a lot of times, it is. I mean, like most cops, if they're being proactive and they're stopping cars, um, like when I was in patrol, like that's I was always just trying to, legally find narcotics or guns or something and just make society a little bit better in my own mind. That's how I was justifying, the police work that I did. So I think any cop has the capabilities. Now there are specific like, traffic enforcement and those types of units, but I don't know. For the most part, I think that a majority of cops are stopping cars, trying to, further develop some reasonable suspicion or even have probable cause where they're preventing some crime from.
Motivated cops, yeah,
Yeah, motivated cops are,
yeah.
they're trying to, deter crime or something or crime from happening or crime, from occurring in their presence or whatever. But it takes, I guess, a motivated cop to do it. I don't know what number is, but I don't think every cop is out there doing that. Some cops are just content with going and writing tickets and that's it. There's nothing else there.
No, I get it. I mean, you're gonna have that in every profession too, right? Like
Yeah.
the army has that. The army has those guys that sit on the sidelines for 3 years, do the 3 year contracts, get out, or find out they're gonna deploy, get out. Any of these, like
Yeah.
they don't want to do the actual job. They join because you get to wear a uniform and there's cool benefits on the side. You can put yourself on TikTok, kind of like you were saying before. Oh,
Yeah,
I hate
yeah,
that
yeah.
shit,
You,
man.
you, you guys, you military guys are, giving some of the cops a run for their money with their
Dude,
TikTok
you're
dances.
don't even get me started, bro. Don't get me started. One of my business partners was like, "Hey, we should start TikTok." I was like, "No,
I think TikTok's okay if you're not dancing in uniform and you're giving quality education and advice out. I think
it's
if you're
just hard. It's no, it's just God. Okay, it could be good. It could be like for your purposes, you could be trying to enlist new recruits for the police, right? Or
yep.
or throwing interdiction shit out there. People would love that. Like they would eat that up as content. But like for us, I don't know, maybe we're too old, but like I just don't think we can push like our content on TikTok.
I do think it's challenging because I think TikTok is now it is that like it's either controversy on TikTok or it's like
Yeah.
happy go lucky type stuff on TikTok, like
It's
dancing
wildly
and
young, yeah.
yeah, yep. Like I'm more of an Instagram era type,
Oh
I love
yeah.
Instagram and uh Facebook. I still operate a Facebook, but I think Instagram is TikTok has been challenging as far as like social media and trying to get, our company out there with it and those types of things.
Yeah, and now the military doesn't let you have it, so here we are.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Dude, we have a Twitter, and like I don't even know how that does. Like I put things on it, but I don't understand the thing of Twitter.
Me
Like
either. I can't
I
navigate it.
yeah, like even if I could, Instagram has the threads thing. I don't
Yeah.
really use that, but I think that's the same thing. To me, I think that's the same.
I think Twitter, Twitter's more it's just strange. Like I feel like Twitter and LinkedIn are kind of like more of a like typed out message. You know what I'm saying? Like something that you would read.
Yeah,
I feel like Instagram and Facebook are like picture oriented, and then TikTok's like video
yeah.
focused.
I just don't understand why politicians are like tweeting or like anybody. Like I don't know why anyone's like Twitter is like you can declare war on Twitter, dude. Did you know that? You could do that. Like I think that's wild.
Yeah, I saw that Rubio went off and said like over the weekend something on Twitter about the Venezuelan president is not the legitimate president. He's like a narco terrorist and he took over a country illegitimately.
You can't
Like,
say that on Twitter.
well, he did. He did.
That's like apparently that is like a legitimate thing. Because
He
like
did. I was like,
yeah,
damn.
I don't think you can just do that.
No, he
That's what
did.
I'm afraid of, man. Like I don't understand it enough to do it. I'll just like so when we do something funny, I'll put it on there. Other than that, I'm like, good to go.
Yeah,
It's
I
fine.
have one. It's I don't even think there's anything on there that I've ever shared. I have it to like lock my name and my image on there basically, but I don't really use it ever.
Well, so I don't even know how long this was, but my girlfriend at the time, probably 5 years ago, it was like right when we first met. She was like, "You're still on Facebook?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, Twitter's the new thing." I was like, "No, I'm not doing that. Like, why would I do that when I have this? I have Instagram, I have Facebook. Like, Spotify is cool, I guess, but like, other than that, like, I don't need Twitter." Oh, you're so old. I'm 31 right now, dude. When you said that, I was like 27.
Crazy. Yeah. I I don't know. I've had Facebook forever and Instagram I got in like 2019
Were you a
and then
MySpace baby?
I was. Yep,
Hell
I
yeah, dude.
was. I had
Hell yeah.
MySpace, like your top 8 and all that weird shit that they used to do.
MySpace for like a year before it tanked.
So and that was the thing, like, if you look at Facebook and where MySpace was, like, it's the same thing at this point. I think
Oh, 100%, yeah.
he was just, like, beyond his time,
But
and
why
somehow
can't I as my like intro? You know what I mean? Because you can do that in
yeah,
MySpace.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know.
Like in what, like 2007 or six, you could do that.
Yeah.
Can't do that on Facebook. It's 2025. All right, I'm not salty. I'm not salty about the LimeWire generation. I'm not salty about any of this shit, dude.
Are you a music guy? Were you, like, doing, like, the Napster type stuff and downloading
Oh
music
yeah,
or
I was a grunge kid. I was an emo kid. I was a 100% Taking Back Sunday kid.
probably before, like, when I was in middle school and high school, I was, like, a 311 and Rage Against the Machine kinda kid. Now it's
Yeah,
ironic about Rage Against the Machine was, like, so, like, anti-big government, and now they're for government? Like, it's so weird how they change
I
their
don't listen to
political
that because
stance.
I love killing in the name of. I don't care what they think about you know Trump or Biden or whatever. I just want to
Yeah.
hear killing in the name of saying in fucking the second roof bar in downtown Nashville. That's what I want to hear. I don't give a shit about your opinions on anything else.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like, I mean, your band name is literally talking about anti-government. Now you've like picked sides. I don't know. Strange. Just strange to me.
They're getting old, man. They look not the same. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's true.
They're getting old.
Yeah, I mean, lots of partying as a band probably ages you pretty well.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Rip Ozzy.
Yeah. Poor guy. That was a rough week, man. I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but Hulk Hogan was. little bit devastating to me. I don't know why. Most of
Well,
them,
he's always been around,
yeah, that's
you
true.
know.
Yeah,
It's kind of like Ozzy though. Like they've. Am I a huge Ozzy Osbourne fan? No. Like I like his music as much as the next, millennial, but he's always been there. He was that crazy dude that bit the head off a bat on stage and
yeah,
had that weird show with his family that was kind of funny sometimes and really embarrassing other times.
yeah,
Same with Hulk Hogan, man. Brother, he's always there.
yeah. That's true. Actually, my first concert I ever went to was 1998 or 1999. It was an Ozfest in Chicago, and it was a good lineup. It had, like the Deftones, Korn, Limp Bizkit. Like it was a good show. But that was the only time that I ever saw Ozzy
I bet that
Osbourne.
show was fucking wild.
Oh, it was insane. Even like
Yeah.
the second stage had like Soulfly, Head PE, some other great bands. It was
Oh my
like
God, yeah.
it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
I'm a Soulfly fan. I am.
Yeah,
I'll say that, yeah. You oh
I
my
like.
God, you get along with our vice president. He's a big music guy. He has his own band, the Hellcat Matt Band, and he's a big rock guy. You and him would just like
So I like
you'd,
old rock. I like that older stuff. In my I guess older age, I kind of went down the country route. My wife loves country, so I kind of I'll listen to it when I'm at the gym or something. But her and I more just country individuals now at this point.
I get it. I'm not a country fan, but I get it.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
grew up in a place where everyone thinks they're country, and they're like, "Oh, we listen to country, wear cowboy boots, cowboy hats." I'm like, "You live in Detroit. You live in Detroit, man."
I mean, I have a pair of cowboy boots. I don't wear them very often. I don't wear cowboy hats. None of that stuff. I'm not that
Hey
kind of guy.
man, if the cowboy boot fits, brother.
Yeah, they got an American flag on them. I think I wore them like it's more of
Dude,
like
I know exactly what type of boots you have too. Jesus.
it's more like 4th of July. If I want to be funny and stuff, I'll put those on and some
It's funny
outrageous
because like
shorts.
as soon as you said that, I was like, I know exactly what boots he has. Are they? They're not the multi or not the digital camo ones, are they?
No, they just have like right on front. They just have one big like red star. They're like brown boots, big red star in front.
I can only see the. I can only see the one with the digital camo on it, but it has an American flag
I
on
know
it.
which ones you're talking about now too. Yep.
Yeah. It's like every new private comes out of basic training. They're like, gotta buy those boots, dude.
It's a great marketing aspect for them.
I'm sorry, we just went on a tangent.
Yeah, I don't know. We were way off the rails there for a minute.
Yeah, believe it or not, I'm probably the best one out of the three of us on the Bunk Bros side, to be honest with you.
So
So,
what?
all right, so
Go
you
ahead.
were telling us about this conference you got coming up, and
Oh yeah.
as a somebody who gets left behind for conferences all the time, tell us a little bit about this conference you got coming up and why it's important.
So I don't know if you. I mean, people that are listening that don't know much about law enforcement, but like conferences are outrageously expensive. Like, do I think that they provide value? Yes, but like the cheapest conference I could think of like $500,000 or something crazy.
For the
So
goer, for the person like
yeah, yeah, for the person
going. Yeah,
attending,
yeah.
yeah. So it's crazy to me to just think like I don't know. Yeah, I look at cops trying to pay. I know most departments pay for that stuff, but so about 2 years ago, I started talking to a lot of my friends, and I was like, hey man, like that are in the education realm, like if I was to, can we come together and put something together? So there's 10 different companies, 16 different instructors that all agreed to come to make law enforcement better. Based on it's $99 for 3.5 days, and we are like paying for those instructors to get there and their hotel, but that's it. No one's making money. And if we were to have any type of surplus money on the back end of it, we'll end up donating it to maybe like a local FOP or something, some cop related, nonprofit. It's going to be in Myrtle Beach. It's April 20th is registration of 2026. And then April 24th is the last day, which is a half day.
And who can
But
attend?
anyone that's a law enforcement, any law enforcement or have some type of I mean, you do enough law enforcement, so I think if the like MPs and things along those lines, I think that we'd be more than willing to accommodate them.
Well, I know like a lot of departments now put out like annual training. They have to do a certain amount of training hours or whatever, and they use a conference to kind of fill a lot of those gaps. If that lieutenant can spend $99 on a conference instead of the $5,000 per guy to go to a
Right.
conference, I think he'd jump at the chance.
And we
What are some of the
yeah, so we have like a couple case law two case law guys. Both of them are attorneys and cops, or one's a retired cop, one's still active. Tom Rizzo from On Patrol Live is going to be there. He teaches an amazing leadership class. We're gonna have some undercover guys. We're gonna have some guys that work like hotel, motel, like parcel interdiction, consensual encounters at like bus stations, those types of things. Proactive patrol, computer crimes, human trafficking. John Mattingly is going to be there. He's going to be speaking. I haven't announced that yet, so that's going to be announced tomorrow anyway. So we'll be good. But yeah, like so
Yeah, it's only there
it
for like a week or two. Yeah.
was that yeah
It's only there for like a week or
yeah
two.
so
I
yeah
had to
so
check, but
but yeah so like I mean we try to cover the gamut of everything like we have a canine guy that's teaching canine stuff, just kind of everything that if you coming from like a proactive police mindset, there should be something in there that's going to attract you, uh, as a consumer that's purchasing a ticket for $99.
that's fantastic, man.
I wanted to
I
do it for
wish.
free, but talking to
Oh
like
yeah, that's too hard, man. That you
yeah,
can't
but
do.
so I was talking to like guys like Tom and other people that are in the admin realm, and they're like, "What you're gonna get is you're gonna get people like." So my plan was like, "All right, we're gonna do it for free. If you do not show up, then we're gonna charge you $100." But Tom's like, "Well, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have all these administrations that are just gonna sign people up, and then the week before they didn't pay any money, they have nothing in the game, and then they're gonna be like, no, we're not sending you. We're not at any money." He's like, even that $99 will keep them committed once they. I was like, all right, that makes sense. If there was a way that I could have completely done it for free with like sponsors and donations and things, I would have. Logistically, I just don't think it would have been feasible.
Yeah, no, $90 is super fair, man. Like at the end of the day, like I have to provide my own training for like a certain amount of time out of the year. I guess that's not true. I could have them send me somewhere, but they always pick something stupid. So like
Gotcha.
being able to choose something for $99 would be like way better than being sent somewhere where I just like, you know, the army just throws me around like a rag doll for 5 days or 10 days or whatever.
So you have to have like what updated like mandated training or things along those lines too.
I mean, we have mandated training and stuff like that, but for my agency that I work for, you need some non-rememberable weird number amount of hours of law enforcement counter drug training put into your job, like basically. And you can choose what it is as long as you have like it has to be like a legitimate certified thing taught by a legitimate, accredited something or law enforcement officers, peace officer of some kind, feds, whatever. But yeah, we have to. I don't even remember what the number is, which is weird because that's coming up pretty quick, and I don't think I've done anything this year.
Yeah, we have mandated training. Used to be 24 hours. I think they've upped it, but encompassing like firearms, driving, case law, defensive tactics, and then usually there's like 8 or something like small amount of hours that you can have as an elective. It's like, but I'm glad that they've upped it and they've changed some of the things. Like when I first started, you used to be able to just like watch videos about driving or watch
Yeah,
videos about defensive
doesn't do
tactics,
fucking
and now
shit. Yeah.
yeah, now it's like at least now it's hands on, which I mean that's needed.
The
I
amount
mean
of
it.
classes that I may or may not just like fucking
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
through the entire. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't learn
frustrating.
anything. You didn't learn anything. Like, well, come on.
Yeah, especially when you're doing like emergency vehicle operation or defensive tactics. Like those are two that used to just be videos, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Strangest thing in the world.
Yeah. So the people I work for just changed that too. So defensive tactics is now an in-person thing. Like everything is becoming more and more in person, what I think is fantastic. I think
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
all right. So you got to tell me about the trap find thing because
Okay,
I'm a big
so
fan.
so trap find is like people try to beat law enforcement any way possible. Depending on what part of the country you grow in, or grew up in, or operate in, like the trap is like an aftermarket compartment that people made to hide contraband. So it's usually Bondo related or electronically accessed.
Like in a
I
vehicle.
yeah, in a vehicle. I mean, yeah, in a vehicle, some type of vehicle for the most part. I mean, we've seen trapped out. Me personally, I've seen it like a trapped out, like big toolbox. I've seen like other furniture that they've made that were trapped out and stuff. A firsthand experience. I've seen a trapped out toolbox. But that being said, like this company, one of my buddies in New Jersey came up with. He got out of the interdiction realm because of the agency he was working with. He wanted to take a promotion. He went into like robberies and stuff. So I acquired it from him, and I've been running. That's our main law enforcement only page on Facebook. There's like 26,000 either retired cops left in good standing or active law enforcement in there. It's a great platform to um, share, talk, and ask questions where you have tons and tons of knowledge in there.
Is
So
it kind
that's
of an information sharing type of thing?
yeah, yep,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's a lot of database in there where guys have showed traps and those types of things. So like if
Yeah.
you're looking for like, oh, I have this car stopped, is this normal or abnormal? If you go in that page, you can search whatever type of car you have, and if there's a trap in it, there's going to be several videos of them.
Nice. Yeah.
Do you have any desire to go into law enforcement, or are you pretty content in what you're doing? No.
I always said I would if I could stay somewhere I liked for as long as I wanted. Problem with, especially, okay, I guess it just might be my state, but my state, let's say you get on homicide or something, or you get on a narcotics team that you really like, you can only stay there for 2 years, and you can extend to 3 if they like you, but you can't stay there indefinitely unless you promote to like sergeant lieutenant. And most of the teams are run by, well, when it comes to narcotics at least, most of the teams are run by the state police under the MJTF. So it's kind of like they get a say of everything: who gets hired, who gets fired, who, when, where, why. And it just kind of depends on the administration of the state level on like how those teams hire, fire, you know, extend, whatever. I just don't think I would want to work for something like to get on a narcotics team to not consistently be on that narcotics. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah. No, and
Yeah.
a lot of bigger agencies, I don't know about the 3 year, but like to take promotion, if you want promotion, you got to like leave that specialty, which never made a lot of sense to me. Because if I put 5, 7,
No.
9,
Yeah.
I have a specialty that I'm, I guess, proficient in. You've kept me in there this long, but I want to take promotion. Now you're going to move me to something that I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, and I don't know. So yeah,
But it's kind of tough because I sort of understand where they're coming
I
from.
get it.
So you get troops that, or officers that are, brand new, 3 years in, whatever, and they have no experience in narcotics because they just work a certain part of, they're assigned to a certain part of a city or a county that it just doesn't see that type of traffic. So you want to get them that experience. They apply to be on a drug, they do good in the board, they have a good head on their shoulders, they're smart, and they get hired, they get that 3 years, 2 years, whatever, of experience on that narcotics team. But then they're back on the road, and it's someone else's turn. So you're really training these dudes to just be good narcotics officers and just putting them back on the road. So I understand that, but it's just like, dude, if you were to keep a team of like 5 or 6 and just breed them to be the best narcotics team,
Yeah.
like then you're not going to lose. Like you're not losing out on that. And especially if they like where they are, the only problem you're going to have is like if you get like the occasional shitbag that ends up as a sergeant or a lieutenant, creates a toxic environment. Now you have a team that does nothing,
Yeah.
just reports shitty numbers. But
I think, I
that's few and
think,
far between.
yeah, no, I think there's a way that you could do it. Maybe like, I don't know, however big the team is. Say it's 10. You have 5 solid dudes, and then you have 5 that kind of do that, like 3, 2+1 or whatever, and you kind of rotate them through. But at least you have like 5 dudes that are super knowledgeable, that are the best of the best, and they're allowed to stay in there and even promote within. So then they always,
Yeah.
that's kind of where they've been, so they know how it operates.
And that's kind of what they do. So like once you become, so they're really close to military when it comes to rank structure. They basically kept the rank structure and then just cut out the ones they didn't feel like dealing with. So like the MSP has like road troops, road sergeants, desk sergeants for each post, right? And then they have like squads and platoons or whatever in each post. And then it kind of like there's like kind of nothing in between. It's just like the guy who runs the post is like a post commander lieutenant, and then the assistant post commander is a different lieutenant. So like under outside headquarters, that's pretty much it, man. Like so each narcotics team also has a lieutenant and a sergeant, and then the team. So the sergeant and the lieutenant can stay there as long as they want. So once
Okay.
they get promoted into a sergeant position into the team, they can stay. Same with the lieutenant.
That makes sense.
But if you're a troop, you cannot. So it's kind of nice because you have a continuity at some, like at a level. So you can kind of keep like if you have a good baseline of what you want that team to be and how they're operating, you can keep that baseline as long as that one sergeant's really good or that one lieutenant's really good. And I've been lucky as far as I've been in the program where like they're all really good, but I've seen teams that are not that good.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah. No. Yeah. You sometimes you'll see guys that have never worked narcotics, and all of a sudden they're running a narcotic team, and they have no idea what they're doing.
Exactly.
And that's where problems start to arise.
Yeah, and they have an idea about it that maybe is not accurate at all.
Exactly.
They watched Donnie Brasco once and they're like, dude,
Exactly. Yep.
which and the other problem is you're pulling from other agencies, like the team, since it's all run by the state police, you're going through like the counties have a guy on that team or two guys on the team or whatever. Depends on the county, depends on the city or whatever. The city might have two guys on the team, then you'll have maybe like two state dudes, and it's run by normally a sergeant and a lieutenant. So that county guy might promote outside of the team, so he can't stay in the team, so he'll get booted. So you'll have like a super high turnover rate of county guys and city guys or locals or whatever, and then the state dudes would be there for like 2 or 3 years or whatever, and then you got a brand new guy on the team like every year basically.
Yeah.
It's,
That's rough to do any type of long term investigation too. If you're
it
moving through
no,
people
oh
that
yeah,
fast.
handing off those long-term investigations after a year, yeah, it's rough, yeah, and yeah,
Working
yeah,
like
once it,
CIs and stuff too. Like now you're trying to introduce another personality where I've just built a good rapport with you, and most CIs don't trust people to begin with. So
well,
yeah,
yeah, luckily CIs are CIs and most of them are crackheads, so like they have a pretty high turnover rate too. So
yeah,
like,
that's
you're like, you're like, man, like I don't think we can work together anymore because you're still doing crack.
yeah, no, that's true.
All right, so second to last question: if you have any advice to give, you have one thing, or if you have two or seven, it doesn't matter, but you at least one to give to up and coming junior officers, holders, leaders, people who are going to, come into this spot one day where we are and have to make tough decisions. But now they're brand new, just starting their career. What's your best advice?
I think that stop being so authoritative, having the ability to be empathetic, listen when people talking, and being able to effectively communicate is some of the biggest downsides I see in law enforcement. I think that we become very robotic because it's very like routine for us to do the same job dealing with different people. But when people call cops, they're calling us on their worst day, and I think that that's where we have this disconnect. And it's not that they're calling us and saying they want $1 million. It might be something small in your mind, but it's the absolute worst day that they've ever had. I think being empathetic, listening, and being an effective communicator will make this job a lot easier and make it a lot last make it last a lot longer. I think that you have to be that whole empathy thing it goes a long way. I think the academies don't do us a lot of justice when it comes to that because a lot of times we come out and we're very authoritative because we're thinking worst case scenario, all bad scenarios, but 95% of the job is not that, and it's dealing with people on their worst day and not always dealing with criminals.
Yeah, that goes. It does, like you said, it goes a long way. Empathy goes an extremely long way. Okay, last question. If I'm speeding at 150 miles an hour through Indiana, are you gonna pull me over?
I will pull you over, but more than likely, if you're nice, I would not give you a ticket. I don't like writing tickets. I like to have compliance. So if you're like, hey, I'm in a hurry because of this, all right, cool. We have to slow down, get you a warning, get you out of there. But I'm all about compliance, not necessarily giving tickets.
Yeah, so I like to hear. All right, well, shameless plug. You got our new website is up. We have our nonprofit going. If you have any rich friends or family, tell them to help us make our application along the way. It goes to help veteran service members, suicide prevention, and veteran outreach and veteran resources. I would like to thank our guest today, Kenny Williams. Thanks for coming on, man. It was great talking to you and seeing another side of the life. If any vets are trying to get out of the military and want to pursue law enforcement, send us a DM, and I will send it to Kenny and bomb his inbox with a bunch of DMs from vets.
Awesome, man. It's my privilege. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no worries.
Incoming, incoming, incoming.